So what are you doing up so early? Oh, I'm always early. Yeah, you're late. Every Tuesday I've been up early. Well, I'm up early every day, but I normally go live every Tuesday morning, pretty early. Germany, what's up? I see you. I think that's Luda. Why your last live? I'll get into it. Zuala. What's up? Good morning, Kevin. And whoever else was on here this morning. Good morning to you. Thanks, Hassan. Try to go back. Floyd, what's up? If everybody's still on here. Somebody say your phrasing is always great. What the heck am I doing wrong? Man, it's just a matter of, I don't know, man. I would say practicing, but I know that ain't all to it. Let me keep going here. Good morning. This is Mike from Maryland. What's up, Mike? Floyd, sounds like endless ideas. I'm not experimenting enough. Thanks, brother Jermaine. I hear what I need to work on. Hassan, man, just keep going. That's the best I can say. Larry Scott, good morning to you if I didn't say it already. Luda, I see you. Andre, good morning, man. Somebody said, give me that bass face. I'm trying to get through here. Doing a little, sorry about my little bass face, y'all. I couldn't help it. What a great way to wake up a Tuesday morning. Sounds great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm born here. Go with that Motown style, please, Jamerson. Palm Mutant. We'll check that out. We'll see it. Nathaniel, what's up, man? Tyrone, what's up? Twister Small, appreciate that. Seam St. Martin, what's the secret for your phrases? Good morning. I don't know, man. Hold on. I'm trying to come back to that. Always here, Doc. Boy, you sound amazing. Appreciate that, man. It comes down to me. It comes down to something I was telling some guys in a master class or a bass class that I did last week. And as far as phrasing and that kind of thing, it really comes down to, for me, chops. Definitely, I mean, at some point you got to develop chops, but even beyond developing chops, um, having a sense of what's going on, having a sense of the music, and kind of, I don't want to make it sound like too deep, but kind of like almost becoming one with the instrument, despite your knowledge of the instrument. And that might be an oxymoron or contradictory for some people, but becoming one with the instrument despite your knowledge of it. And a perfect example of that was BB King. In my opinion, BB King wasn't the most technical player on the planet, and I'm pretty sure BB King couldn't go through the. I don't know. I never met BB King, but I'm just assuming. Um, yeah, same thing in karate. I took a little bit of karate. I didn't go far. But yeah, so like becoming one with the instrument, BB King to me was a great example of that because he just kind of knew what he wanted to do. He knew how to let the, when I'm saying become one, figure out a way to let that instrument become an extension of your voice. I think most people don't practice that part of it because we're so busy trying to get all the mechanics down that we don't necessarily practice how to speak through this as well as we speak through this. And that's just having conversation. And when I have conversation, as I've grown over the years and I talk to people, one of the things you have to do is listen when you're talking to people. If you want to have great conversation with people, it's important to listen to everything that they're saying so that you will know how to properly respond to what's being said. Because if I'm only hearing a part of what you're saying, I'm only getting a piece of what you're saying. Even if I respond with a lot of words, I don't fully understand what you're talking about. And I'm just running my mouth, so to speak. I don't understand the context. If I don't understand the context of what you're saying, it's hard for me to respond in context. It's hard for me to give you a well thought out answer when I rushed in to speak and I didn't really listen to, I didn't really listen to everything that was said. Musicians often too much worry about too many of the mechanics of bass playing or playing music, in my opinion. And I think we miss it sometimes. We're so busy being mechanical and knowing all of the stuff, all of the correct techniques, and you shouldn't be holding your arm like this. I mean, like this. You should be holding it like this. Which all of that stuff is relevant in its own place. But I think we get so caught up in the mechanics of how things should be done that we forget we're speaking. We're talking to, this is a language that we're speaking. It's almost like going to a place that's not the same as where you're from. For me, when I moved to Atlanta, and I had this really Mississippi Southern dialect, and it was very country in essence. It's like the way I talked. For a lot of people, they laughed or they made fun of me. It wasn't like a not high school, but like a grade school type situation. But it was one of those things. Look at you, you're different. You don't talk like us. And on me, it took me years to like realize like that's okay. I don't, you know. I don't talk like you, and it's okay. That doesn't mean I don't have something valuable to say because I don't speak as many words with when I'm speaking or when I'm making my point as you do. You might say a whole paragraph full of sentences, and I might respond with, "Yeah, I get it." And what I said was just as valuable as what you just said, simply because I understood what you were saying, and I didn't need to come back with a lengthy response. So in music, in this groove, just equating it back to music, when it's a groove like that going on, I think the answers that some of you guys had mentioned about my phrasing might be completely different from what a John Patitucci or Victor Wooten or Hadrian Farad or, I mean, just name a bass player. I'm saying something completely different, but it's the same groove because it's almost like being in a church or hearing a message, hearing a motivational speech or something like that. You can have 40 people in the room, and all 40 of those people are not going to get the same interpretation of what was just said. I mean, if you married people are on here, you know how it is to be talking to your significant other. You can say one thing and they hear another thing. Just because you meant one thing when you said it doesn't mean that's all the time what they hear when it comes back and it translates to them, because the information filters through your brain. It filters through your ears. It filters through what you've been taught. It filters through your culture. So a lot of things filter through different things. So if we try to make everything mechanical like robots, it's never going to work. You'll end up sounding mechanical. But if you learn how to filter the information properly and be able to, the more you know, the more you can strip away. I'll say that. Keep learning, keep working on bass, keep growing, keep trying to get stronger, keep improving your playing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, all of that stuff is just so you have information to pull from. I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree and all that stuff, but I don't feel it necessary to use all of the knowledge that I have every time I speak to someone, because it's not necessary in the conversation. I can get the same point across with less words. I know how to go. My wife picks at me because she knows she can hear me talking on the phone, and depending on the conversation I'm having, she can kind of pick out who I'm talking to. And when I mean who I'm talking to, the area where this person is from. Like when I talk to people back home, I tend to sound more country. I tend to have more of a southern, dialects, more of a southern drawl, and my tongue is a little more loose. I say stuff, I let my words run together. I do a little bit more slang when I talk to people from back home. But if I'm talking to somebody and maybe it's more of a professional setting, I tend to improve my speech a little bit. Or when I have to do speaking engagements and that kind of thing, I tend to be mindful of how I'm speaking to crowds, because I do realize that in certain audiences, there is a universal language that goes across. If we're all speaking English, there's some level of my dialect that I need to adjust, not change completely, but I need to adjust so that everybody can understand what I'm saying. But if I'm talking to my brother, it's like, if you're sitting in the room, you might be confused most of the time, because that dialect is really, really strong, and we're a little bit more relaxed. We're a little bit more laid back. So in any situation, y'all may be asking, how does this relate to music and phrasing? Well, in any situation that you find yourself in, especially musical situations, context is everything. Now, the freedom I have over this particular music is this is my music. So my phrasing is not limited to what somebody else played. My phrasing is not limited to what I think this song is supposed to be musically according to this genre. No, it's a song I wrote, and I know when I wrote it, I added several elements in it. So I'm free. It's almost like me having a conversation with my brother or anybody in my family. I'm free to talk like I want to talk. One, because I wrote the song, and two, because it's my solo. And here's the other point I wanted to say. It doesn't matter. I was having this conversation with somebody in the class last week when we were talking about soloing. One of the things about soloing, I think you're going to do better. You who are watching me and you want to solo, I think you're going to do better. And I'm going to come back to the comments. I'm seeing comments pop up. I don't want to lose my train of thought. I think you're going to do better when it comes to soloing, when you learn how to fully embrace your dialect when you speak. When I say speak, when you speak, whatever your instrument is, your solos are going to be so much better when you talk how you talk, as opposed to how Charlie Parker talked, as opposed to how Victor Wooten talked, as opposed to how Marcus Miller talked, as opposed to how Stanley Clark or whoever else you want to name, as opposed to how Jocko spoke. All of those people's solos were so great because it came from their experiences and their dialect of how they wanted to express themselves in that moment. Stanley Clark has more of a classical background and jazz and all this different stuff, and it's very strong. It's very well thought out. It's very, but there's some elements of street or urban in there that you can hear that comes across in this music as well. So you hear all of those elements work together to create this really nice, beautiful solo. But when it comes to your solo, man, I can't think of anything, because you're trying to think of everything. That's why you can't think of anything. You're trying to think of what would somebody else play here. What would sound good based on what this person would play, because we're basing it off the last thing we heard somebody else great do. Okay, this person, they sounded like this when they played it, or Jermaine played it like this. And so we get so lost into trying to mimic, and I don't mean that in a negative connotation. We're all trying to mimic somebody at some point to try to learn. But we take that information to apply it to what we know and to apply it to our culture. I had a dialect. I was taught to speak before I learned the English language properly. So I was already being exposed to how people talked around me before I took English. So I took English longer than I, learned how to speak, so to speak. They would teach me how to speak when I was, 1, 2 years old, up to 3. And after I kind of developed my conversation, the schools kind of took it from that point. Okay, let's teach you correct English. It's almost the same thing in music, but we go the opposite way. We try to learn all of the rules first, and then we have to go back and rip all of that away and then implement that into our culture, or that kind of thing. Whereas learning how you learn, and it doesn't matter if you learn bad habits and all that kind of stuff, because I coach a lot of bass players and a lot of things and say, man, I'm trying to break a lot of bad habits. I get it, but I know some bass players and guitar players who many would say have terrible habits, but they are phenomenal at what they do. And so that's up to their discretion if it's bad habits or not. I get it, and I understand some things could make you, could mess up your body posture and all that. I get all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you want to be truly expressive, how many times did you hear a person like B.B. King talk about technique? I'm not saying he didn't, but how often did you hear that come up in the conversation? It wasn't the topic that you spent the most time on, because he was great at expressing exactly how he feel through that guitar. He would sing a verse and he would play the guitar lick behind it, and you knew exactly what he meant. You knew exactly how he felt. You knew exactly where he was coming from, even if you didn't grow up where he was from. You understood, baby need new shoes at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he comes back behind and he plays something that expresses exactly what he said. And you feel the emotion and the connection to what it is he's doing, as opposed to understanding all the technical notes and, oh, that's a lot of stuff. That's the Phrygian scale, and he's doing, that's too much information. Learn it and forget it. So sorry for that long drawn out answer, but I really hope that somebody understands that when it comes to phrasing, it has a lot to do with you. It has a lot to do with you being comfortable in your own skin. And yeah. All right. So let me go back to some of these comments that were made earlier. All right. Somebody said, hey, good morning. I have a request. I'd like to know if you can break down for me in a quick way, I will send you the following bass line. I don't, Junior, if that's how you say it, I don't know. You can send it to me, but I don't know if I will have the time to do that. And you could send something to me, Jermaine at JermaineMorgan.net. We can probably set up a call to do that, but just as far as me breaking it down and like doing a video and breaking it down, I doubt I will have the time to be able to do that. Yeah. So let's see here. Pattern of the beats. Yeah, I was just playing around with the different timing and that kind of thing. Victor Wooten is saying the same thing. It's a language. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Victor Wooten is definitely one of the heroes. And so I definitely agree with that philosophy when he says a language. Melvin, good morning to you, man. Kelvin Guy, I see you, man. Hey, JM, my fingers always seems to be flying off. And it's not efficient at all. Could you please help with an exercise or something? I'm just being more aware. When you're playing, like doing just different chromatic scales, like trying arching your fingers. Something I kind of learned from somebody. I still have the tendency to have flyaway fingers at times, but not a lot. My pinky, I got big hands, so my fingers, they kind of doing their thing. But one of the things I learned a long time ago from a friend of mine, he was telling me to try to arch your fingers a little bit more. Instead of playing like this, try arching them. And that'll help a little bit more with those flyaway fingers. When you try to put a little bit more of an arch, as opposed to that, put a little bit more of an arch in your fingers. It'll take a while. And if you've grown up, like I was saying earlier, if you've grown up with a lot of bad habits like I did, I started playing with no formal training, no formal teaching, some of that stuff might stay around. I mean, some people are able to go back and clear the whole sketch and start all the way back over. But for me, some of those bad habits remained, but I learned how to kind of work around them. and still be able to do what I want to do. So it's possible to go back and, clean up all those bad habits. Steven, what's up, man? It's possible to clean up all those bad habits, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, just arch your fingers a little bit more and just work little by little. So yeah, that's my advice in that regard. All right, Florida accent comes out more. I'm from Louisiana, and my wife does the same thing. She know if the person I'm on the phone, go back to that country accent. That's what I'm saying. It's like and that's the thing, man. That's really good. I know I could spend all day on that subject, but improvisation to me, here's my take. Improvisation to me comes out the best when you're comfortable. I can really think about when you're in a room with people and y'all are having conversation, and y'all are just say your family gets together, everybody's having a good time, y'all on eight, y'all playing the game night, y'all playing cards and all that kind of thing. When you're doing that kind of stuff and everybody's having a good time, you're in a room just go with me, you're in a room full of your friends or your family, whoever you like being around the most. Y'all playing cards, whatever it is you do for pastime, you're doing that. And you ever notice how somebody like acts out what's going on? Just say if somebody starts winning, you get up and start dancing around the table, and you get to talking a lot more junk and having a good time and that kind of thing. You do a lot more just noise talking, what I call it. We start talking noise. At that moment, you're improvising, because to sit here and play this game of cards or whatever it is we're doing to pass time, it doesn't take all that. I can just sit here and I'm going to draw this card, look at my card. Do you got anything? Nope. Put it down. And that can be the game. But oftentimes, because we want to raise the level of excitement, and we're having a good time, we might have a good team or something like that, we're interacting, we're having a lot of fun, we're laughing, we're going back and forth. So that improvisation, it kicks in. Because it doesn't take all the cards. When it gives you the rules to the cards, it does not tell you to say this and to trash talk. It doesn't tell you to do all of that. But when you're having a good time and you're around a lot of people, you tend to start improvising. You tend to start doing a lot more stuff. You tend to have, you tend to do all this stuff, and it comes from you being completely comfortable. Now, if you're playing cards, or if you're around a group of people you don't know, and you don't know if they're going to try to shoot you and take your money and all that kind of stuff, like a poker game or something like that, and you playing for money, it seems to be a little bit more tense probably. Or when you watch these competitions, it's a little bit more tense. And people aren't as relaxed. They're focused on skill, they're focused on technique. Now there's two different ways of approaching playing, because you have all these different things, I'll read that in a minute. You have all these different things that come about when you're playing these two different games. Like you're playing spades. I'm not a good card player by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll take playing spades and playing poker. When I see people play spades, I see a lot more trash talking. I see a lot more looseness. People are paying attention to their hand, but you see a lot more smiles. You see a lot more, again, more trash talking, people acting a fool around the table. But when you see poker games, like poker competitions and that kind of stuff, it's game face, poker face. It's serious. It's real, like, stoic. But spades or something like that, on the other hand, Uno, there's a lot more smiles. There's a lot more relaxed environment. So I would call that more improvisation. I would call the poker game, that's more being about more skill, more being technical. That's not saying there's not an improvisation happening in there, but it's all focused instead of fully enjoying the moment. Fully being in the moment, fully laying back. That might be a bad scenario for some people. The best one I got is early in the morning. So it's a different feeling when you're more relaxed, when you're being honest, when you're being who you are and just having fun. That dialect is going to come out. Your true character is going to come out. Who you really are, that really shows. Who you really are, put it like this, who you really are when you're having a good time really comes out when you're around a lot of people that you like to be around and you're doing something that you love to do. Who you really are tends to come out. So if you really love playing music and you really like the music that you're playing, that's the thing, to be able to try to tap into that, not just when you're playing the stuff that you like, What if somebody calls on you for a solo in a song that you don't necessarily like? How do you go to that place where it can still come across blissful, and I'm being honest in this solo? That's when your phrasing gets better. It's mental. It's more mental than it is mechanical. When you can get that mental part down and really start enjoying it, I couldn't play good solos for years, not because I didn't have the chops or the mechanics to do it. The mental thing would bother me. I don't know who's listening to me. I don't know what they're going to say. What if I mess up? If people going to look at me, are they going to judge me? Man, everybody everybody in the band already just played a killing solo. Now they're about to call on me. And now I got to play this solo, or the drummer's about to kill. So I know ain't nobody going to care about all this mental stuff that's going on. Thinking too much. Overthinking it causes you to not perform at your best level. All right, so let me go back here. Low Note says, do you believe in slowing licks down to learn them correctly? I hear a lot of older bass players that don't believe in slowing the slowdown software. It's totally on you. I've heard it both ways. I've heard people say if you get your mind used to learning stuff slow, it can become a habit to where you have to slow everything down. But if you can train your mind to start picking out notes as it's going fast, it strengthens your brain. It kind of works a muscle. All it is at the end of the day, it's a muscle. You know what I'm saying? Some people like to do reps when they work out. Some people like to do 100 push-ups at a time. Just get down on the floor and give me 100. And they like to work their way up until they get to where, I have to do 100 push-ups. I got to the point where I could do like 50 to 75 just non-stop. But now I like doing reps in terms of I'll give you reps of 20. I'll give you 5 reps of 20. And I'll knock them out that way. And I'm still getting the same workout done. Might be different for some people. But for me, okay, I'm still getting the same workout done. I'm still feeling it. But this is just what works for me. So at the end of the day, it's what works for you. Just know that, yes, it does help you, in my opinion, from my experience, if you can pick out that stuff a little bit faster and just not slow it down and hear it and pick it out. Okay, that does strengthen your ear. That strengthens that muscle where you can hear stuff and pick it up quick. That way, if you're on the spot, something happens, somebody plays a line, somebody plays a lick. By the time they play it the second time, you already got it. I know for a fact because I used to do it all the time. At first, I couldn't do that. But the more I started exercising my ear to listen to what was going on, pick up on what's going on, and catch it. So when my music director would play something, and we're in a groove, and he played this lick, maybe let's give him 2 times. He played it twice. All right, this next time he come around, I'm going to catch it. I'm catching it. Because I was listening to what he was doing. I'm internalizing. I'm still playing my part, but I heard what he just did. Now, if I had to slow everything down, that's going to be a disadvantage. In that moment, that's going to be a disadvantage for me. Now, getting started, you might need to do that just to get yourself used to it, to work yourself up to that. But I encourage both ways. Now, there might be some things. Here's the other side of that. In me playing what I just heard him play, the first couple of times I play it, I might miss something. Whereas if I had the opportunity to listen to everything slow and pick it out and learn every note that he was playing, when I play it, I'm going to execute it exactly like he did it because I learned it slow. When I have the time to do that. But if I'm in the heat of the moment, you know what I'm saying? You don't have time to slow it down. You better slow it down in your mind and pick it out, because the next round we come around, and if your MD says, hey, catch this lick, you got to catch it. And I was in a lot of situations that happened. All right, we about to play this. Ba-da-da-da. He'll sing it out for us. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? So the next time it comes around, I need to be playing that lick. I don't have time to slow it down and learn it. So it goes both ways, and it's just a muscle that you have to work. All right. I'm trying to go through all these questions I've missed. All right. So great insight, Luda. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, Brother Hassan. No problem, man. Appreciate it. Dimitri, good morning to you. And I already spoke to you, Stephen. Sheldon, good morning to you. Zuala, Jay, thanks for that awesome tip. But I'm talking about right hand, not the left. Please help. So I've completely missed the I guess the point of what you're saying. The right hand. Oh, I think I remember what you were talking about. Flyaway fingers. On the right hand, that's just kind of, to me, that's kind of locking in. Whether you're doing, because you're talking about playing like this, the same thing. Arch your fingers a little bit more. Instead of doing like playing like that, try arching your fingers a little bit more. Try cuffing your hand a little bit more. Some people like to do this technique here, the Gary Willis approach. That's like that. But I don't, sometimes I practice like that, but for the most, and I hold my bass like that when I'm standing up. So if you ever see me play live, you probably see this position. And when I'm playing this position, I'm trying to angle this phone down a little bit more, the camera rather. When I'm playing this position, like I got a straightened wrist and all that kind of stuff. And to me, my practice is completely different from my live performance. I practice like this, but I play, and it's probably bad habits. I don't know. I'm working on them. But I play like this when I'm playing live. If you see me play live 9 times out of 10, this is my posture. And I'm angling. My arm is like this. But that came from just making the adjustments as I went. I didn't start out playing like that. You know what I'm saying? I made adjustments as I went along. And that's just trying to make sure over time I don't, cause any problems. But it goes back to the thing I was saying earlier. I won't get back into that. But you know what I'm saying? So just try different things. See what works best for you, because this thing here that a lot of people do, I ain't gonna say I can't do that. It don't work for me. So I still do this, but I am aware of how, because I don't want wrist problems. I am aware of how much my wrist is being straightened when I think about it. But when I'm just sitting here having fun, I'm not thinking about it. So if I think about it, I'll adjust. But if not, we're not gonna fall out, nothing like that. So yeah. Let's go back here. Floyd says, Sheldon Arundel, you weren't talking to me, so I'm not gonna read that. All right. Sounds like when you learning to walk, you realize falling down is a part of it, and then walking becomes subconscious. Exactly. Great analogy. I don't usually get a chance to catch your lives. However, I thank God for you, man. Popeye, I know that's not your name, but thank you. Yeah, and this will be probably my last one for a minute. Yeah, I got some other things I got going on. What is the recommended maximum amount of bars that someone should play for a solo to keep the audience interested? That's a hard question. It's not really about the amount of bars, it's how interested is your solo. You could take a 2-bar solo if it's the right thing, back to the groove, some people do that. That's just a 1-bar solo. And that was interesting. And the crowd went wild. You didn't have to play all day long. You made a point and moved on. But in some instances, you might have something like what I was playing earlier, where you have, a groove, and you can take your time and really put together a solo. And I'm not going to count the bars. Let's see. So if I want to take my time and really put together a solo, let it loop around. You count the bars. So I don't know how many bars that was. I wasn't trying to count the bars. I was just trying to, unless they tell you take a 16-bar solo and get out. The only time I really count bars is when I'm recording. And I pre-make the solo section, or I'm recording for somebody else and they tell me, hey, take these 8 bars, take these 4 bars, take these 16 bars. That's when I'm counting bars and I'm trying to pay attention. But like generally, if you're in a live situation and the song needs to end and they tell, hey, take a solo, 8 to 16 bars generally. But if you got the floor, they handed you the floor, hey man, do your thing. You don't count bars. You just put together a great solo. Take your time. If you're gonna say something worthwhile, don't drag it out. If you don't got nothing to say, don't drag it out and take a 24 bar solo and you could have got done in 1 bar. Like that's, now you're gonna make people leave and go to the bathroom. They're gonna remember that they were hungry and they're gonna get up and leave during your solo. If it's not interesting, they will leave. People will leave. I don't care how good you play. Hear me. I know from experience, I don't care how good you play. If your solo, if you're just playing for yourself, hey, rock out. But if you're playing and trying to keep the audience engaged, if you don't engage the audience with your solo, they will leave. They will tune out. They will get on their phones. They will do whatever they need. Listen, I'm telling you, they will do whatever, anything, because you got to think, if you're playing bass, and I assume most of you guys are bass players that are watching me, if you're playing bass, a lot of this instrument does not resonate for a lot of people. So if we're not doing this, you know, let me put a better tone than that. If we're not doing this in our solo, you know, all this slapping and sliding, most people don't even understand the bass solo. They don't. So a lot of times, you know, I hear bass players say, man, I never starting higher register. Well, based on my experiences, I don't pick where I'm going to start when I start solo. And it's just whatever I hear, that's where I start at. Typically, I have the tendency to go to the higher register because I know that resonates with people and they understand that higher register quicker than they understand the stuff that I'm playing in the lower register, unless I'm playing the bass line. If I just start playing my solo up here, that might go across depending on the song. But if it's a very melodic song, I have the tendency to, that way I can sing in a register that the average person can comprehend. Because that bass playing, I've been doing this for a while, especially playing solos for different audiences of people that didn't necessarily come to hear a solo. You have to figure out something that connects with them. And that upper register for most people, I don't know why, but that upper register of the bass, and don't get me wrong, purists, that's 4 strings and no more. I get it, and I'm all for that. But I'm saying, based on my experiences, sometimes with people who didn't come, like a lot of the concerts and stuff we saw with Jocko and all these different people, they were in music venues of people who came to hear music, people who are music lovers, people who are music heads. It doesn't matter what you play in music. We love it because we paid to come hear you play music. Now, oftentimes nowadays, you can find yourself in venues where people don't necessarily come to hear the music. They come to eat, and you just happen to be there playing. So if I'm playing around normal people who didn't come to hear music, I got to figure out a way to get their attention. And a good way to do that in building solos, because some of you might be asking, well, how do I do that? When building solos, if you're trying to get people's attention, you have to do something that's familiar. Depending on the environment that you're in, I have to adjust my solos depending on cities, different cities I go to. I learned that the hard way. I can go to an area where, you know, what's up, Charles? I can go to an area where, you know, it's jazz heavy, and I can play whatever I want to play in that particular area. But if I go into an area that's like more blues heavy, and I just play a whole bunch of jazz stuff, sometimes it don't go over. And people are like, all right, I guess I'll go back and get me another drink or wherever they are, you know what I'm saying? It depends on where you are. People, it goes over their head, and it can be an amazing solo. If it goes on YouTube, it might go viral. But in that moment, in that room, people are like checking out because you're not connecting with them. If your goal is to go to this place and just have footage so you can post somewhere, and you're just going to play the greatest bass solo or whatever ever just so you can post it on social media and get some likes on YouTube, that's fine. But if your goal is to go and connect with the audience that you're in front of at the moment, you have to figure out a way to connect with them. Figure out what, you know, try to have an idea of where you're going, what the culture is there, what resonates with them. Here's what I found out in my early years of really developing, not developing my chops and being able to solo. I don't mean that, because that was already developed. But in my years of developing how to connect with people, one of the things that I found, once you connect with them on the smallest level, something they can relate to, now I'm interested in the other stuff you're trying to say to me musically. Here's a statement that I heard from a great speaker. He says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Remember that even as musicians. Now, this was a term at the speaker side of me I learned from a speaker when it talks about speaking to people. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Now, if I can translate that in the music world, when I'm playing music, and I could show people even from a lower level, from not even playing solos, but just being a band member. And if I can give my music director, if I can give, some of y'all don't have music directors, you just got a pastor or whatever. If I can give my pastor exactly, if he's the guy in charge, that's basically what I'm saying. The person in charge in those work environments, if I can give them exactly what they're looking for, now they're interested to hear what else I can do. If I know they like for me to stay deep pocket and I give them that all the time, now they're a little bit more open to me coming out and doing some other stuff. If my music director knows that I'm learning the song the way they wanted the song to learn, you know what I'm saying? We'll let you go for 15 right now, but you know what I'm saying? So if I'm giving that person exactly what they're looking for, now they're interested in knowing what else I have to say. But first, you have to capture their interest. So same thing when it comes to soloing and playing for people who are not necessarily they're not looking for a solo. From a bass player, if you're not gonna do this, because some people, all they want you to do for your solo is hold the groove for a full 8 bars. So, but if you're not gonna hold that groove for them, they're like, hey, I'm gonna check out. So, all right. If I know I'm in that kind of environment, good morning to you, James. If I know I'm in that kind of environment, all right, so I'm going to give you the groove. I'm going to give you the groove to start the solo out. I'm going to get you locked in. I'm going to get your head bobbing first because I know that's what you want in this particular environment. Because I should be able, by the time I get a solo, you're not going to open up the show with a solo. By the time I get a solo, I should have been aware enough, should have been filling out the audience enough to kind of know what this audience is into. And if we've been playing heavy grooves all night, so I know that this audience wants a groove. So if we're in a song and they give the bass player a solo, I'm going to give you the groove first. I'm not going to go straight here. Because if I leave that groove and I start doing that, they're like, oh, okay, here we go. And they're going to remember they need to go to the bathroom during your solo. So my thing is, all right, I know they've been in a deep groove, so I'm gonna... So I'm gonna give them stuff. I'm gonna start sneaking other little stuff in there as I'm playing the groove because I know that's what they're looking for. They're looking for more groove than more melodies. You know what I'm saying? But the more I keep that groove going and I get their head bouncing and they're fully in the groove, now I can go. I can do all of that now because they were already bobbing their head to the... You know, they were already bobbing their head to that. So, sorry, but I was trying to give y'all a good example. So hopefully that answered. I don't even know what question I was. What is the recommended maximum amount? Okay, I got that one. That's the one I was talking about. Sorry, I got way off. Got your question answered. I know that. What kind of bass is that you're playing right now? This is a serene bass. Serene. Got the 2 S's on the headstock. Not to be confused with Ken Smith. It's Serene. Scott Serene. That's what the 2 S's are for. Floyd said, I can't play like that to save my life, and it feels so it feels so uncomfortable. Which band or church do you play with? I don't play with a band or church right now. I've played at New Birth for up until last year. I played at New Birth for 12 years. I was music director there for the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years. But yeah, that's the band I was playing with. So I play with the Jermaine Morgan band when we play. All right, so Zuala, awesome. Thank you. Absolutely. Hey, Jermaine, CJ. Okay, I see you. Charles, I think I already spoke. K. Oliver, what's up, man? Ken, what's up? That's my brother, everybody. Ken Morgan, LaKendrick Morgan. Um, James Amber. And then when I say brother, I don't mean that's my bro. That's my blood older brother. James Amber, good morning. What's up, man? SpaceX, embrace truth and enjoy it. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Rodney Johnson, I'm gonna miss these live streams, bro. You've been an awesome man, inspiration. I hear a lot what you say, and I get where you're coming from. And your principles on point. I appreciate it. So I will be still posting. All right. So to get to that, so I can rush off. I still will be posting content from time to time, but yeah, for now I'm gonna be pulling back on the live. Got some other responsibilities that I gotta take care of, so I won't be able to jump on and do the lives as much as I was doing, or like I was doing rather. But I will from time to time post content. Y'all can go back and binge watch all of this different stuff, and you can still reach me by email, Jermaine at JermaineMorgan.net, if for some reason you have a question, that kind of thing. And I don't know how long I will be doing the one-on-one coaching calls as well. So when I started those, for the people who took advantage of it, good for you. But one thing I kept saying, I said, I'm not going to be doing this long, the coaching calls. So I have some people that are locked in, and they lock their spots in for the next few months. But other than that, I'm going to be pulling away from a lot of that stuff right now. So yeah, you can still get the monthly membership lessons on my website, and like I say, from time to time I will be posting content still here on YouTube, but probably not as much as I've been posting over the last year. So yeah, did I get everybody's comment? And I appreciate that, Rodney, man. I really, really appreciate that. And for everybody who was watching this morning, I appreciate you joining me for this live this morning. So, yeah. And just ask, man, how y'all doing, man, through this coronavirus? I know this is a tough time for a lot of musicians, myself included. This is a tough time for a lot of musicians. So, how are y'all doing? How are your families doing during this season of coronavirus? This might be a great time for you to be looking at some other ways of supplementing your income, other ways of growing. Even if you have your own business, it might be a great time to be looking at some other ways for you to start supplementing that. Or if you've only been doing like churches and doing gigs, this might be a great time for you to start figuring out how to create your own business so that you have more than one stream. And that's really what I'm doing. The reason why I'm pulling back right now, I got several streams, but I'm about to do another stream. And so I need that time in order to do that as well. So how y'all doing, man? How are y'all surviving during this time, during this lack of gigs? Hopefully none of y'all, the real tip, y'all know I try to get real with you. Hopefully none of you guys are dealing with depression because of a lack of work and that kind of stuff. Hopelessness, thinking that you're not gonna make it through this season. All right. Question: I'm looking to purchase a 5-string, but debating should I get something custom or spend that top dollar because the cheaper basses have a flabby B string with a uncomfortable action. LJ, it's really, man, that's really preference. Because I play some cheaper basses, and this might sound weird because I got custom basses, but I play some cheaper basses that was dope. It just depends on the bass. It depends on, I can't say it depends on the company. It doesn't. It depends on the bass. I would say try out as much stuff as you can, unless you just know for sure you want to go grab something, and you know exactly what you want to get. I say try out as much stuff as you can before you make that purchase. If you have an opportunity, if you're close to a boutique company that you want to spend for a custom bass, go check that out. Go check out, spend some time somewhere and play some custom stuff. Go to some music stores nearby and try out their custom stuff and see how you like it. But don't sleep on the other stuff that's in the store. do a A/B, like what we do when it comes to mixing music. And like when I'm mixing my records and stuff like that, I'll put my mix up against something that's out there that's similar in genre, that's similar in feel, that's similar in sonically how it's supposed to sound, and see how my record stands up against that. And I make that decision of my mix based on how it sounds against that other, how it sounds against that other record. So I would say do the same thing when it comes to basses. Don't just be so quick to it's custom based, because all custom bases are not created equal. I'll never forget, I love Federa bases. I love Federa bases as well as several other custom bass. Obviously Warriors, that's what I play, and Serene. But I love Federa bases. I always have. I think Richard Bona has a phenomenal Federa bass. The one that Tony Gray plays is dope. I love the tone of that bass. Victor Wooten, of course, has some amazing Federa basses. But I played one time, and it looked a lot like one I seen online. And when I played it, I was like, okay, that Squire over there sounded a little better than that. And that's not me trying to diss Federa. That's why I gave y'all all those disclaimers before. But my little $200 Squire bass sounded a little better. What's that? NH? What's up, man? So it matters the bass. All builders have an off day. All basses are not created equal. It's a piece of wood with some strings on it, with some electronics in it, but all of it's not created equal. You can have something custom built, and it doesn't. And I know cats that have basses custom built to their specs, and when they got it in their hand, it didn't sound like they thought it was going to sound. So it's like hit and miss. Sometimes you win. The probability of you getting a trashy bass that's custom built is kind of low. It's less than 50% chance. You know what I'm saying? It's very low that you're gonna get something that's custom built and it's like trash. But it does happen. That's what I'm saying. So try out several basses, try out several brands. If you have a certain brand that you like in particular, and you've like, just say I'll use Warrior for example, because that's what I play and that's what most of you guys know me for. If you like Warrior basses, you've been like on their basses for years, and you just now at the point that you can purchase one, go drive, make a trip, go to Rossville, Tennessee, and go check out Warrior. Check out their basses. Go inside and play them. Don't just go to Guitar Center and play one, unless you found one at Guitar Center you really like. I mean, go and take a trip to the company and play the basses from the people who make them, and see if you want to get one custom built. That's all I'm saying. Just check out your options before you just make a choice. Don't make it based on the low B string off a few basses, because I'm pretty sure you haven't played 200 basses and know all of the B strings on all of the basses on the cheaper basses of all floppy, because that might be the few that you've played. You know what I'm saying? So all of them are not created equal. That's all I'm saying. We're good, just taking advantage of practice time. Good, man. Good, K. Oliver. Thanks for the inspiration and all the great bass lessons. Keep on playing. God is good. Absolutely. Corona gave me a permanent practice time. I was a church gigging bass player, and now that's gone right now, so I'm starting back teaching. Absolutely. And there's no shame in that, y'all. There's no shame in doing anything outside of music. Me personally, if anybody know me personally, you come to my studio, you're going to see I got a mantle up there with like some model cars and like 4 semi trucks. My brother probably laugh at this, but I got like four 18-wheeler trucks that's sitting on my mantle. Because my other passion, I love trucks. I made my CDL when I was like, 19 years old. We were driving before that, but I made my CDL when I was like 19 years old. So that's always been a passion of mine. Coming to Atlanta made me hate doing it, but when I first moved to Atlanta, that's what I was doing. I was driving trucks, and that's something that if I just couldn't do music anymore, and for some reason my musical gift was taken away from me, if there was something else that, okay, what would you do and you think you could find some type of enjoyment out of, trucks would probably be it. I could probably live with being a truck driver if I just had to do something else. So You know, if I had to go back to that for a little while and drive trucks, or not just go back to that, but have that as another stream of income while I'm doing some other stuff, so be it. It is what it is. And I think the backup plan, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And to me, I don't really consider that a backup, because the careful thing, and I get what you're saying, Steven. I heard that all my life, having a backup plan. You know, older people in my family would tell me, make sure you got something to fall back on. That's what they call it. Have something to fall back on. You have to be careful that your backup plan doesn't become the main thing. Make the main thing the main thing. And yeah, do have some other skills under your belt, because the thing about, as you're developing stuff, develop your giftings, develop what you're good at, develop what you naturally have. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about your dialect, about your culture. I was born and raised in trucks. That's what I come up around. And so it's part of my culture. I didn't really, when I was doing that, I didn't consider trucking as a backup thing. I can always come back to trucking. I didn't consider it that way. It was just something that I love. I mean, my brother still got trucks. He'll tell you to this day, when I go back home and he come to my mom's house with his truck, I'm trying to drive. He already know what time it is. So it's like one of those things that I naturally love to do. So I don't consider it like a backup thing, because I want to own it one day. So if I want to own it, I got to know more about the business. I got to know more about how to get into it. And that becomes another stream, not a backup, but another stream of income. While I'm still working this other thing that I'm trying to do, that's another stream that I can work while I have the strength, while I have the energy to do it. Because the more streams I have to do what it is I love to do, the better off I'm going to be. And when something like COVID-19 hits, I'm not in panic mode, because I don't know what I'm going to do. If I have more than one stream, I still got something coming in. Even if you cancel me or you fire me from this gig, which that part of my, and y'all might find it shocking, the whole gigging for people thing, I'm not passionate about that. It might come as a shock. Be the level of musician that I am, you think I love gigging. I don't. I don't love all of the stuff that goes into gigging and the return. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, if it's the right amount on it, you know, I love playing. It's a difference. I love playing music. I love creating music. I love getting on here doing these lives. I love creating music and recording music and putting out a lot of music. I love all of that. That part of it, I love to do. But the politics of gigging and going through all of that, not, if that's your thing, more power to you. But for me, I don't love gigging. I don't. I enjoy playing, but I don't love just gig to gig to gig. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about you doing what you know your purpose to do. Now, I do enjoy speaking. I do enjoy, if I'm going to play, being able to make sure I'm adding value to a group. So like a clinic setting, or a setting where I'm doing a presentation, where I play a set and maybe I can share with the group. I love that, because now I get to get more rewards than, "Woo, look what you just played." It's cool, but to be able to share and impart into somebody something meaningful, something valuable to that person that I know that will help them in their life and help move them forward, that means a little bit more to me than just going playing a little $150, $200, $300 gig. That I don't like the music that they're playing. I don't like the fact that I had to get up here and waste like 8 hours of my day. I had to get here 6 hours early for the sound check to play a 2-hour show that's like 3 hours away from my house, or an hour away from my house. Now I can't go back home because I'm stuck here all day. And then I had to do a whole rehearsal. So the amount of time that I lost don't make up for the gig. It's different for some people, but for me, my time is valued differently. So if I'm spending this amount of time doing this thing that I don't really care to do, sometimes with people that I don't really care to do it with, that's a waste of my time. So it all matters what you want to do and what your purpose is. You know what I'm saying? It's all centered around that. So just let some of this stuff marinate as we kind of get through this this corona thing. Don't let people shame you for doing what you have to do, or for doing what you're doing to move yourself forward and move your family forward. If you like doing customer service type stuff, you like talking to people, and you want to, if you decide, hey, I want to go take a job at Walmart because I just like talking to people. I get to make some extra money, or if I want to do Lyft, or if I want to do Uber or something like that, because I enjoy meeting new people. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy riding. Don't let people shame you for you doing what it is you love to do, because you're the one that defines what it is you do. So that's my 2 cents on you guys that are kind of stuck in this funk of not knowing what to do while you don't have gigs. And I don't want you to get this mindset of, man, if I go do this, everybody gonna laugh, everybody gonna talk about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what it is you need to do what it is you can do to make sure you get through whatever it is you need to get through. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in what it is you have to do. If you're trying to grow your business, shameless plug, I do have a course where I do show you guys how to do exactly what I've done. I've been telling you about it for a while. It's on my website, JermaineMorgan.net. The name of the course is Be Productive and Multiply. I show you how I was able to start changing my mind, because owning your own business takes a complete shift of mindset. If you've been used to somebody always giving you something, you got to completely change the way you think. And so I was able to take the stuff that I love to do, which is music, which is helping people. I was able to take that and turn it into a business and grow it to where it was earning me thousands of dollars. It still earns me thousands of dollars. Now, that's one stream of income that I created that's passive. Now, I'll show you in that course, I'm going to show you how I got to that point. And for you, it might not be lessons. It might not be something online. It might be washing cars. It might be cooking, depending on whatever it is you're into. But this course, I show you how I was able to do it, how I was able to basically multiply myself to increase my productivity so that I could do more. All right. So that course, again, is on my website. I invite you. You don't have to take it. But hey, if you want to benefit from it, it's totally on you. It's there. JermaineMorgan.net. All right. So let's see here. I'm going through these last few comments. Appreciate your real talk. Sound great, man. Alan, I appreciate that, man. Absolutely, Stephen. What's the process when it comes to developing fields and runs? I think I covered that, man. I think I kind of covered that. But I'll come back to that if I have time. Also, a big plus, think about all the songs you can write for country radio about driving. Exactly. About driving trucks. I've already done it, so I can still write some songs. Should I practice many songs with just basic bass line, or should I practice songs in detail? A mixture. Do whatever. I mean, depending on what you're trying to do. I would do both. I'll practice anything I can get my hands on that's related to what it is I'm trying to do. So that part doesn't matter. That's where the money is. Yeah, writing songs. Yeah, it's somewhat where the money is. If you get the right song wrote and placed on the right person. I do write songs. I do a lot of music, y'all. Y'all don't know about it, but I do a lot of stuff outside of be on YouTube and post videos. I do a lot of stuff in music, and I've been in this for a while. I've been doing this for a good while. And you might be shocked. There's a lot of money in some aspects of this music thing, but sometimes it's hit and miss. You might do really, really well from one thing, and then you might be, just doing it for the experience, or just doing it for the sake of having a placement and getting your name on some credits for other things. So it's hit and miss. I can honestly tell you from experience. I'm a producer as well as I am a musician. I'm a songwriter as well as I am a musician. So some stuff is major, some stuff is minor. Sometimes the minor stuff pay more money than the major, depending on who you're working with, depending on their budget. So don't let the hype fool you. Just because everybody posted on Instagram that they playing on this, working on this, they might not be making as much money as you are. I'm just being honest, and I can tell you because I've been doing it. And I've done it from, a high level as well as on the independent level. And there's been times that I made more money independent than I have working with people who had a budget, simply because they were stingy, or that budget wasn't as sweet as you thought it was. So now, I hadn't worked in the pop and R&B world as heavy or whatever like that, but yeah, don't always think that grass is greener because how they are making it look over there. I heard an old person say, that grass is green on the other side, but somebody said that's because the cows poop more over there. So you got to watch out for your step when you're going over there on the other side, thinking that the grass is green and it got a lot more manure on the ground. So take your pick. All right. All right. So somebody says I probably practice more while working full time right now than I did when I was studying. Yeah, because your grind, I would imagine, I saw you up there, your grind is different. If you have a different goal, now it's pushing you. If you're working a full-time job, and it's funny, like the people that have the most time available to them tend to waste that time. When I first started doing music full time, I wasted so much time because you think you have it. And of course, this was in my early 20s when I was doing music full time. I mean, I still do music full time. But like when I first got like my big gig where I was doing only music, I didn't realize how much time I wasted because again, you think you have all that time available to you. But when you start doing another job, you got other streams of income, you start owning your own business. Now you start to see the value of time and how much of it you're not willing to waste because you know each moment, each second is valuable. So now I don't need 10 hours in a day to practice. I don't have to have 10 hours a day because if I can do increments of stuff consistently, I could put in an hour today, but I can be consistent on putting in my hour in the morning and maybe an hour in the evening if I have that time. But if I don't, making sure that I'm really digging in on the time that I do have, I'm being more aware of my time. I'm managing it and okay, I don't have enough time because I'm working or whatever. How much time you spending on your phone? You spend 15 minutes scrolling through Instagram. That's 15 minutes of practice you could have put in. Or that's 15 minutes you could have put towards building your own business, growing your. I know because I've done it. So I'm just saying, y'all, you just got to be more intentional about what it is you're doing. Lots of wisdom is almost too almost too much. We got a link one day. I'm in Hinesville, Georgia, but always making moves to NATL. Yeah, I'm not in ATL. I'm outside of ATL. So you be up there looking for me, and you you still got like another hour and a half, 2 hours to drive for me. So I'm outside of ATL. I'm closer to Athens now. But I got you, Floyd. Not afraid is my joint. Appreciate that, man. Someone once told me that the grass is greener because the water bill is higher. There you go. The water bill a little high over there. You got to pay a little bit higher toll for it. Love what you bring and thanks for sharing your knowledge. Absolutely, Scotty. My pleasure. Andre, it's hard to practice being a truck driver. I can imagine, man. Yeah, it is, but it's about. I got a bass player that he was on here earlier, but. And I got several cats that I've taught that were truck drivers. I know it's hard, especially when you're gone, and you're tired, you're wore down. But finding that time, man, sometimes taking your bass or your instrument with you if you have the ability to. If you're not just dog tired when you're there getting loaded or getting unloaded, think about it. You don't have to wait till you get home. See, well, you have to start being creative because if you're driving a day cab, obviously you might not have that luxury. You might not, but if you're in a truck with a sleeper on it, and you're at the dock getting loaded, and you're not dog tired, and you don't have anything else to do, and you sometimes I know a lot of cats just stand around, shoot the breeze, talk, go in the break room, go do something. You know what I'm saying? A lot of time is wasted, 45 minutes to an hour that you're sitting at these places. Sometimes 2-3 hours that you're sitting there just waiting. If you got 2-3 hours. Taking an hour nap or whatever the case may be, and maybe picking up that bass for 15-20 minutes, because chances are some time getting wasted somewhere. Some time is getting wasted somewhere. We all have that 24 hours in a day, and at some point we're wasting some time. I'm guilty of it myself. So just kind of going through there and figuring out, all right, I can take this time. I can at least take my bass with me or my instrument with me, and in the event that I'm sitting here waiting on them to do something or waiting on them to load me or whatever the case may be, I can be practicing during this time. I can get something done during this time because I know when I get home, I'm going to be dog tired. I'm not going to want to do anything. So I can take this little bit of time and try to get in an hour. I can take 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and get some time in if I'm really passionate about it and if I'm really determined this is really what I want to do. you find the time. I'm learning that the older I get. When you make your mind up, this is what you want, you find the time for it. You find the time for it. If I want to get on my phone, if I want to call somebody, if I want to check on somebody, I find the time for it. It's just that simple. When it comes to something that you really want, because if you want to eat, I don't care how tired you are, you're going to find the time to eat. You're going to make time for it. If I got to get it on the go, I'm going to stand in the line for 15, 20, 30 minutes. If I got to get it to go, it is what it is, but I'm going to eat. And you know how y'all are at work. It's like, man, lunchtime, I don't care what they got. I don't care what we got to turn in. I don't care. I'm going to eat. So it's like you got to take that same mentality when it comes to this music thing. If you really want it, travel bass guitar. If you really want it that bad, you have to make the time for it. And I'm gonna get to that question. Let me go back. I'm a female bass player and would like suggestions on short scale bass recommend. I might not be the greatest person to ask that question. I would just say go in some music stores and try out. I'm not going to recommend a short scale bass. I would say go in some music stores near you or go find some close to you and try out some basses. If you've been to the music stores close to you, maybe venture out a little further and go see what they have and go play different ones. Because I could say a short scale bass and then you find one that's super comfortable to you. That's not necessarily short scale. It's just the fret spacing is different. You know what I'm saying? So just go out and try some stuff and see what it is you feel comfortable playing. So I don't think it's, I get what you're saying being a female bass player, but I don't think it's restricted to that. So get out and play some other stuff. Get out and try some other stuff. And you might be shocked what you find. And it might not even be short scale bass. Everything is not, all basses aren't created equal. Also, I'm a lefty. It's cool. Let me see here. They run the crap out of you, but I do have my bass with me. There you go, Andre. And what the biggest thing, Andre, you got to give yourself credit for what you do. That's another thing I find that hurts us is we don't give ourselves credit for what we're doing, what the time and the effort that we're putting in. If you're tired as all get out, but you still manage to get 15, 20 minutes in that day practicing, give yourself credit for that. To you, it might not mean much at the time because like, man, I know I should have did this. I should have done that. I didn't get. Give yourself credit. If you're making the effort to do what it is you're supposed to do and circumstances beyond your control are causing you not to get the results that you want, if you're doing what you're supposed to do as best as you can, give yourself credit for that. Because when you start celebrating and give yourself credit, that entices you to do more of it. So you'll start digging and you'll start finding the time to do a little bit more. Well, okay, I got it. I got 15 minutes here this day. Wasn't what I wanted to do, but I'm gonna try again tomorrow because I was able to get my 15 versus, man, all I got was 15 minutes. I might well leave the bass at home. If that's all I'm gonna get, that's the mindset if you're not careful that you'll start to take it, as opposed to, man, I got 15 minutes today, man. It was rough. Today I was really tired, but I did get 15 minutes in, so I'm gonna see if I can get more tomorrow. It's a different mindset that you start developing when you start giving yourself credit, not in an arrogant way, but start giving yourself credit for the stuff, the right that you do, as opposed to beating yourself up for the wrong. So if you only can get 15, if you can only get 30, you know what I'm saying? Just work it in increments and you start finding more time. You start looking for it, kind of like when you're looking for money around your house, so you start checking the couches, you find a little penny here where at first you didn't have no money, you had some lint in your pocket. Before you know it, you end up with 35 cents because you start finding it because you're looking for it. All right. Let's see here. How do you feel about travel bass guitars? I mean, if you got one, all good. I don't say that you should go and buy a bass just so you can have something to travel with. If you're in a position that I only have one bass, just be super careful with it. I mean, until you get to the point where you can buy another one. If that's all you got to work with, take what you got. Use what you got. Just be super careful. Be very cautious with what you're doing. But if you can buy a travel instrument just in case something happens, of course, having a backup is always great. But if you got what you got, rock with what you have. Just be super careful with it. And be mindful of the temperatures. Now, I will say that. Be mindful of the temperatures that you're leaving your instrument in. If it's super hot in your vehicle, don't leave your instrument in there if it's super hot. Because that could affect your instrument if you just leave it in there. If that climate is not really controlled, that could affect it. So just be mindful of that. Um, Thank you so much, and I just got an inventor, and I carry a small amp, and I can practice on the dock at the truck stop on my 10-hour break. There it is. So that's what my brother says. He said he just got an inverter, and he just take his little amp with him. He practice while he's waiting to get loaded on the dock. So all of y'all, if you're on E-Log, you have to stop for 10 hours. So he's saying he take his bass guitar. He plays bass guitar. He's a dope musician too. I learned a lot from him. So LaKendrick Morgan, y'all subscribe to his channel. He don't post nothing, but y'all subscribe anyway because it's my brother. So all right, yeah. So he takes his bass with him. He practice while he getting loaded on the dock. So for the truck drivers and the guys that are watching, trying to figure out how you can practice, get you a little power inverter, little small amp. And while you're on your downtime, you're not gonna sleep for 10 hours. Half of y'all don't even sleep 4. So all that other wasted time that you have to goof off, take some time and get some practice in. You only need about at least 2 hours a day. If you could do more, that's great. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't get that, that's cool. But do something. All right. So I had Sire 5-string V9 customized, but still a little bunky. Not too many left-handed basses to try in stores. So you need specifically a left-hand bass. You ain't doing a flip it over and do that kind of flipping the strings upside down type deal. If that be the case, I would recommend you probably, depending on your budget, you maybe need to try out some boutique stuff. Maybe. Because if you need something custom built, I don't know what to recommend. There are a lot of, when we say boutique, everybody is not charging $5,000 and $6,000 for a bass. Some people you can get a custom bass built for like $500-$600, depending on what you're looking for. So you just got to keep looking around, keep asking questions. I don't have all the answers. I try to share as much as I know, but I don't know everything. Michael Branding, what's up, Michael? Good morning. A little late to the convo, but I'll check it out the entire video. Yeah, absolutely, man. Music for Jesus. Thanks for the videos and for sharing your wisdom and gifts. Much appreciated. Absolutely, no problem. And I gotta jump off, y'all. I'm way over. Can we still expect that top 10 gospel baseline video volume 2? I got it in the works. I don't know when I'm gonna drop that one, but I got the information. I got to go through and do some more stuff. So I don't know when that's gonna happen. I'm not gonna make no promises because I like to keep my word. But yeah, I do have it. It's on my to-do list. I don't know when. All right, so you said, and I am a left-hand player, but I do play right-hand basses. Do you think this will affect me negatively? Nah, I don't. I know cats that's left-handed. I mean, here's a perfect example. Not a bass player, but Eric Gales plays left-handed guitar and is amazing, but he's right-handed. I'll let you sit on that one for a little while. Eric Gales, look him up if you don't have time. He plays left-handed guitar. Means, old folks, he plays bottom side up. The bottom side up. He plays it like that, but he's right-handed. He learned that way from his brothers because they were all left-handed. To my knowledge, that's how he kind of learned. His brothers were left-handed, so he learned how to play left-handed from his brothers because they were left-handed or he was left-handed, whatever the case may be. So he learned how to play that way, and if that's what he learned, if that's how he learned, he just adjusted. And Eric Gales is one of the most phenomenal guitar players to walk through Memphis or walk around the world, much less. So it has a tendency, but you put in the time, anything is possible. All right, so y'all, I gotta go. Brotherly love, don't post anything. You already know. He know what it is. But yeah, so all right, y'all. I appreciate y'all watching today. I gotta jump off, and I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed these lives over this last almost a year that I've been doing these lives. I'm not saying I won't come back and do any more lives. I just don't know how often, so I can't say I'm gonna be here every Tuesday. Uh, my bad. You had posted so many times. I figured it was okay. Yeah. So now he was talking about me talking about throwing you under the bus, talking about you don't post nothing. So yeah, Ken he kind of he piggybacks off my post. So yeah. So if I'm posting something, that counts as him posting on his channel. All right. So how much is your base lessons? And Andre, it depends on what you're talking about. You got to go to JermaineMorgan.net. There's a monthly membership lessons there for like $11.99, and there's like a memberships plus option where you can get access to all my courses and everything. It's like $39.99 a month. So yeah, it depends on what you're talking about. Just go to the website. And now, like I was saying, as far as the one-on-one based lessons, I'm probably discontinuing those lessons, except for the people who are already signed up with me and who are already taking those lessons. I'm discontinuing the. I will do coaching calls from time to time, but just kind of locking in a full whatever. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be doing that. And when I put that up, it was limited when I first did that in the first place. But you can see all of that, even the coaching calls. Now, if you set up a coaching call, we'll see how we can work that and work the schedule. Simply because my time doesn't allow as much as I did in the past to really kind of have a lot of people. Even when I started doing the coaching calls, it was very limited. I think I had like 18 slots, and it was very limited because I know I can't. It's only so much time I can devote to that. All right. So anyway, thank y'all again for watching. I'm about to get out of here and get some other stuff done. Yeah. You any other information or news you want from me, find it here on this channel, or you can visit JermaineMorgan.net. Find out all about what I do, all about what I'm doing. Somebody said, "Hey, wait, okay." All right, so I see what we got going on here. So, but anyway, so yeah, anything you want to find out about, I'm gonna ignore you, Iron Fist, God of Mischief. I serve the God of King of Kings. Listen, we don't know what you talking about. You talking about some Avengers stuff. But yeah, so check out JermaineMorgan.net. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna jump off before it start getting real weird on here. All right, peace.